Today we talk about everything that goes with farming at Rust. Farming can be a great help because it can provide you with additional food and resources. You can also sell your harvest and your tea to other players with the help of a vending machine. Most of the time you can start farming in mid-game. In the early game a farm base is less recommended. You can also combine your farm base with a fish farm for scrap and fuel. Feel free to check out my fish farm video in the channel. To be able to set up a farm base you need seeds from different plants. You can find these seeds in the forest of Rust. The forest you can find very easy on the map from Rust because it's colored in a dark green. In the forest you will find different berries and vegetables. In order to equip your farm base with the right items you have to craft, farm or buy them at the bandit camp. For this I recommend a tunnel run in underground train stations. There you will find a lot of things you need for your farm base, as well as a large amount of scrap. You can find a tutorial for the underground train stations on my channel. Once you've got it all together, it is time to set up your farm base and become a true roleplay farmer. You have to set up plant boxes and provide them with everything they need. First you can start watering the containers. One of the easiest ways to do this is the water jug. You can fill this up in a freshwater river or a rain catcher, for example. You then empty the water jugs over the fields. As a result, they were supplied with water by hand. However, it is a lot more pleasant to optimize this process and make it a lot of automatic. You can also use a rain catcher. However, these are hardly sufficient to constantly irrigate the fields. Even with the support of water barrels, this isn't a great help for you. Personally, I don't use rain catcher nor water barrel. If you don't have access to fresh water, you have to go to an ocean and use salt water there. You then have to desalt this before. There are devices for this, such as a campfire and a water purifier. You can also use a water pump and a power water purifier. The second version is the best in my opinion, but it will need electricity and water connections. You create these electricity and water connections with a wire tool and a hose tool. As well you need a source of electricity, for example a wind turbine or a solar panel. I prefer to build on freshwater rivers and only place a water pump here. The water pumps then take care of the water supply for my plants. You need sprinklers to distribute the water around your plants. The sprinklers you can attach to the floor, ceiling or wall. There are also fluid splitters and fluid combiners that can combine or separate several water lines. A water pump can provide for the flow of water. You can also connect the water pump with electricity. The water pump also has a flow stopper. You can also install a heater. The heater warms your plants, which is especially important in snow and desert regions. You also need ceiling lights so that your plants have enough light. The light from the lamps is enough here. There is no need to build windows for sunlight into your base. On the contrary, that would be a very stupid idea. The next step is to get your seeds to grow. To do this, the seeds must first be planted. Put the seeds into your hand and aim at the 3 areas. Place the seeds with the left mouse button. Make sure that the seeds of the same species do not touch each other, otherwise crossbreeding will occur. You don't want to do crossbreeding. Now you can already see the randomly generated genes of the plants. There are different genes with different properties. Red genes have disadvantages. Green genes bring advantages. The color is important for crossbreeding. Crossbreeding will, however, once again be a completely separate video. Y stands for yield. You will receive several plants when you harvest. G stands for growth. The plant grows faster, which is especially helpful when cloning. H stands for hardiness and is useless to us. X stands for nothing. This is an empty gene. W stands for more water consumption. This gene is mangy and should be avoided. Alternatively, you can also increase the water supply. In my opinion, the best gene is the Y gene, followed by the G gene. The more Y you have, the better it is in my opinion. Y, G, G would be a very good combination. To get the right genes, you can either crossbreed or clone. I prefer cloning anytime. Keep planting plants until you get the genes you want. The genes will be totally random. Then clone the desired plant. To clone, you have to plant the seeds. Once they are in the sapling phase, you can clone them. When the harvest symbol appears in the sapling phase, hold down the E key and select Clone from the action menu. You have now received 3 clones. The clones have the plant genes. You can now fill all the places with clones, since clones are not crossbreeding. Repeat and grow the clones until you have the desired amount of clone seeds. There are 7 growing phases in total. Seedling, sapling, crossbreed, major, fruiting, ripe and dying. Nothing exciting happens during the seedling phase. The sapling phase begins just 10 to 15 minutes later. On this you can clone berries. Vegetables cannot be cloned here. After the sapling, the crossbreed phase begins. The major phase follows the crossbreed phase. In the major, you can clone vegetables. The most important phase of all is the fruiting phase. This is where the plants collect their fruits. After the fruiting phase comes the ripe. You can harvest the plants during the ripe phase. It doesn't matter at what percentage this happens. Avoid the dying phase. In the dying phase, you only get plant fiber, and the dying phase is draining your fields. You can put the plant fiber in the composter. This gives you fertilizer that you can use for the fields or sell at the bandit camp. The growth rate of a plant also depends on the conditions. These are light, water, ground and temperature. All together give the overall result. Overall can never be higher than the lowest value. A lamp that illuminates several fields is sufficient to get the light to 100%. Water needs a certain amount of water. This must be neither too low nor too full. Personally, I always bring water to the maximum and I'm satisfied with 75%. You can strengthen ground with fertilizer, although I never do this. Temperature is easy peasy in most regions. In the desert it gets cold at night and in the snow area it is cold all the time. Help is provided by a heater. My plants run at 75% the entire time because I don't like the cost-benefit ratio of the last 25%. There are several plants you can work with, for example hemp for clove, potatoes, pumpkins, corn and the various berries. My favorite plant is the potato, followed by the pumpkin. This is because one potato plant gives you up to 20 potatoes. A pumpkin usually only gives you 1 to 5 pumpkins. The berries come out in a wide variety of colors, for example red, white, yellow, green and blue. You can throw away green seeds and plants as they are only used for useless things. Red, blue and yellow are the most important berries in my eyes. You can craft tea with the berries. For this you need a mixing table. The instructions for the individual types of tea are listed in the mixing table. The mixing table is also the best way to craft gunpowder as it uses less charcoal for the same amount of sulfur. Each tea comes in 3 different levels. You craft the first stage from the berries. The next stage is made from the first stage of the tea. The third stage is coming from the second stage of the tea. In my opinion, you should only use the highest level as this is the most effective and wastes the least resources. Tea is good because, for example, you can turn 1000 wood tree into a 3000 wood tree. The tea itself lasts 30 minutes and goes out if you should die. 1000 stone becomes 1500 stones, 300 sulfur becomes 450 sulfur, and 600 metal ores becomes 900. Here you can see an overview of the tea. There are ore tea, wood tea, healing tea, scrap tea, max life tea and radiation tea. Ore tea and wood tea are the best teas in Rust. These ones give you plus 200% in wood and a huge bonus on ore nodes. Scrap tea for the barrels can be okay, but in my opinion there are better ways to harvest scrap. Healing tea is okay but not worth the effort. Max life tea can be good for PvP, but the price is very high. Everything that goes in the direction of red tea is in my opinion pure bullshit. One of the more common questions is whether it is possible to build a plant and berry farm in a cave. Personally, I don't like caves anymore because it is very easy to raid them and you just don't have enough space. But for caves there will be a video on its own. Yes, it is possible to build a farm in a cave. All you need for this is fuel and a generator as well as a lot of water. Some community servers with an admin shop offer test generators. If you have this option, you can also use it. Test generators give you endless power without any condition. If we talk about the desert and farms, it sounds very strange at first, but also here it is possible to build a farm. Just be in mind of the large temperature difference between day and night. During the day it is very warm in the desert and your plants do not need a heater. At night the desert is freezing cold. This is where your plants will need heating. In the snowy area the logic is even simpler. Of course you need heating here. If this condition is met, you can grow plants and berries in the cold. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any unanswered question, please leave them in the comments. I'm happy to help you.